Hey YouTube, today I'm going to go over E3 and what I thought about all the conferences. I watched every single one of them, so I'm going to go in order of when they happened. First was not really a conference, but it was EA. They did EA Play, which was pre-recording. The only game that they showed that I really cared about was the first game, which was Star Wars Jedi: The Fallen Order, which I think we had a preview or like a trailer recently, like probably a week or two before. So a lot of us got really hyped for it. But this one showed probably about 15 minutes of gameplay of it, and it looks fantastic. It looks so good. I love Star Wars, and we've all been waiting for a Star Wars single player campaign again for quite a long time. Um, I love The Force Unleashed, but it was a little short, so hopefully this game is going to be. My hope is that it's probably around like 12 to 15 hours long, which A Force Unleashed was like 6. So, but it takes place in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and from what it seems, it looks like it takes place before Rogue One because Forrest Whitaker appeared, his character from Rogue One. So I think it takes place before that, which is really cool. And it looks like the combat looks a lot better than Force Unleashed. It looks very similar, but it looks more advanced. Like you kind of have to play out what you're going to do instead of just mashing buttons. And the graphics look amazing too. It looks like it's got some platforming in it too, kind of like Uncharted. So I pre-ordered it. I'm really excited for it. Let me know what you guys think too. The next one on Sunday was Microsoft, and I think they had probably the strongest conference of E3 this year, and I think last year too they were probably the strongest, which is surprising for me. And while most of them are not necessarily exclusives, they do show the most content, which I am happy for, especially since we didn't have Sony this year. Which Sony I usually look forward to, but unfortunately they did not have a conference. I would have liked some announcements from Sony, at least like maybe a release date for Last of Us 2, which now that I think about it, it's probably going to be a launch title for PlayStation 5. And it may be on PS4 too, but PlayStation 5, from what I'm getting right now, from what they've said, is that it's going to be backwards compatible with the PS4, which is nice. It would be nice if it was backwards compatible with everything, but I'll take that. But I really like Last of Us 2 is my most anticipated game right now, but it's taking a while, and I know they've finished up the game. So hopefully we'll get an announcement soon on that release date. But Microsoft, they started off strong with Outer Worlds, which is an Obsidian game. Obsidian made Fallout New Vegas, and I love Fallout. It has a Fallout vibe, but kind of like in space, and it looks amazing to me. I cannot wait. They didn't really show too much, and I don't know if we got a release date on that or not. I'll have to look back on that because Microsoft's was almost 3 hours long, and I watched all of it, and there was a lot of content, so it's really hard for me to remember. I think this was the second game they showed, but it was Bleeding Edge. That's by Ninja Theory, which Ninja Theory made. I think Heavenly Sword. They did Enslaved Odyssey to the West, and they did what is that? Oh gosh, I can't even think of the name of that game. I'm having problems with names lately. But it looked kind of like Overwatch in a way, which I'm not really into multiplayer games, so I probably will not be playing that, unfortunately, even though I love what they've done so far with Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory. Then they showed, which this is an exclusive, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which I really want to play Ori. If I do ever get like an Xbox One, honestly, there's not really a reason for me to get an Xbox One right now. It'll be the next gen, whichever that system ends up being. I'm sure that it will be backwards compatible because Microsoft does that. And then they showed Minecraft Dungeons, which was a Minecraft dungeon crawler, which surprisingly looked really cool to me. I probably will not play it, but it looks pretty sweet. And this was a surprise. This actually I thought was like a Resident Evil game or Silent Hill or even like I don't know, some other horror game. But they showed Blair Witch, which looked really cool, which I've only seen the very first movie, and to be quite honest, from what I remember, I thought it was kind of boring, but I like horror movies, but I don't know. But the game looks really cool. And then this was probably the strongest of E3 at all. Like this overpowered everything, and that was Cyberpunk 2077. We got a release date. It comes out in April, and Keanu Reeves is in it, which is pretty sweet. There he is. But he came out on stage too and announced the release date, and he's in the game, which I just read today that he has the most dialogue in that game besides the main character, which is really cool because everybody loves Keanu Reeves. How can you not? But the game looks amazing. It looks so good. It reminds me a lot of Blade Runner, which Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies of all time. So, and while I never could get into The Witcher 3. I tried several times. I really, really hope that this game ends up being like one of my favorites, because I think it might be. And I think that might be the same for a lot of other people too. And I went ahead and pre-ordered my copy too. I did not get the collector's edition, which is like $160, but it comes with like a statue and stuff. I don't even remember what this game was, so I'm going to skip over it. But then we got Battletoads, which Battletoads is cool. That's also an exclusive because it's rare. They showed Microsoft Flight Simulator, which was not actually like a air combat game. It was literally a flight simulator, but you could get in like a, I guess like a helicopter or a personal airplane or even a commercial airplane and fly around. And it actually, the visuals looked really impressive, but I don't know really what else there is to it, which I don't think there is anything else to it. Might just be kind of like, you know, you've got Farming Simulator and all that too. If you're really into airplanes and stuff, I guess that might be something for you. They announced Wasteland 3, which I've personally never played, but I know those games are supposed to be somewhat similar to the original Fallout games, or like the first two, top down. They did a video on Psychonauts 2, which I never played the first Psychonauts, which they played for our group called Game Clubs. It was one of our Game of the Month winners, but I never did play it. And this was an announcement that some may be surprised, but I was super, super excited for. It's a Lego Star Wars game, and it's not a remake, it's not a remaster, but it has all 9 Star Wars movies in one game, and it's like completely from the ground up redone. And I love Lego games, so and I love Star Wars, so I'm really excited for that. I need to go pre-order it. I don't know why I forgot about that one, but I'm super excited. I wish they would make more Lego games. They kind of stopped after Dimensions, which really sucks because I liked the Lego Harry Potter games, Lego Jurassic Park, or Lego Jurassic World is like one of my favorites. And then the Star Wars ones are cool too. And they're easy to platinum, they're tedious. They showed a game called 12 Minutes, and it's a top-down game where I guess you wake up in the same spot every time, and you have 12 minutes until these people come in and like kill your wife who's pregnant. I don't know why, but you have all these different scenarios that you can go through. I don't know if there's a way to have it not happen, or if it's a different scenario every single time. So something different happens, but it always ends up with the same result. And it looked really interesting to me, honestly. Gears 5, which I honestly have never played a Gears game. My sister really liked the first Gears. She has a Gears 360. And I've watched my friends play it at their houses, but I never got into it. Dying Light 2, which I'm super excited for. I think that's next year sometime, holiday. And this got a lot of people really excited. I personally have never played any, so I can't tell you anything about it, but I know a lot of people have been waiting for this for a long time, and that's Phantasy Star Online 2 that's finally coming to the United States. And then we also had a new Tales game, Tales of, they didn't say how to pronounce it, but I'm going to say Aris. Some people say Arise. I don't think that's right. That looked good. Then we've got Borderlands 3, which I've only played the first one, so I can't really say much. I need to play the second one. I didn't finish the first one, but I don't know that I need to. And then they showed a game that is by the people who do like Dark Souls and all that, and George R.R. Martin, who does Game of Thrones. And it was just a trailer, so we didn't really get what the game is, but it might be really cool. It's called Elden Ring. And then we got a trailer for Halo Infinite, which still doesn't show what the gameplay is, but I do like Halo, although I have not played past Halo 3, so I'm not mad like a lot of people are, but I'm going to give the others a chance and see what I think about them. And that was pretty much summed it up for Microsoft, at least from what I liked, besides them also announcing their new console, which will arrive next year, holiday season, which I figure is going to be the same time that PlayStation 5 comes out too, and that's probably why Sony decided to skip out this year. And then we've got, let's see, Bethesda, which was pretty disappointing. I like Bethesda because I love Elder Scrolls and I love Fallout. And Rage is good too. But they really didn't show anything. It was kind of embarrassing. They got on stage, or Todd Howard got on stage, and the crowd, they all cheered for when he started talking about Fallout 76, but they also cheered when he said how much it failed, which was like, that was weird. Obviously, I don't know if they were paid to be in the audience and cheer every time he talked or what. But he talked about Fallout 76, and then he talked about Elder Scrolls Online, which I don't play MMOs anymore. Although when World of Warcraft Classic comes out, I might, because that's like, honestly, I spent a lot of time with World of Warcraft back in the day, and that's like the only multiplayer game that I really play. But I quit playing World of Warcraft probably about 3 years ago, maybe. But they showed this new game, uh, which looks actually pretty interesting. It's called Ghostwire Tokyo, and it takes place in Tokyo, obviously, and we didn't really get any gameplay on it, but people are just disappearing into thin air, and it looks like there's like demons and stuff, and your character, I guess, can fight them, and is, I don't know, trying to figure out what's going on, but it looks interesting. And then there was a game called Deathloop, which I really don't remember too much about. There are two different characters, and they're trying to kill each other, and there's all these different scenarios. So I don't know if it's co-op or if it's a single-player campaign, if you can play either way. I don't know. And then I think Bethesda was probably the weakest of all of them. Ubisoft, I think they showed quite a few multiplayer games that I really don't care about. But then they showed Watch Dogs Legion, and I'll admit, the very first Watch Dogs I was so disappointed with when it came out, because I had been waiting for it for a long time. It looked really cool to me, and it got delayed probably about 3 or 4 times. And then it finally came out, and it just felt really repetitive and kind of dull, kind of like Grand Theft Auto 3 to me for some reason. And so for that reason, I never played 2. But Watch Dogs Legion, like, there are an endless number of playable characters. Like, anybody you walk past in the street, you can pretty much play as. Which, if it's the way that it sounds, it would be amazing. But I also know from being disappointed from the first one that it may not be what it sounds. So hopefully it's not just, what I'm thinking is that there's going to be all these different types of characters. Like, there's going to be people who are athletic, or a doctor, or an old person, or but they're just going to have different skins, because each character has like their own like origin story, like when you first get them, when you first recruit them. But I can't even imagine that every single one of them has a completely different one. That would be so cool. So cool if it's like that, but I don't think that it is. And that's pretty much all I saw from Ubisoft. And I mean, it looks really cool to me, and I might try it out, but I don't think I'm going to get it at launch. I will at least wait for a few reviews to check it out first. And then we got Square Enix, which was also very good. I think Square Enix was probably the next best to Microsoft. Well, no, I don't know. Square Enix and Nintendo were both really good. But we got Final Fantasy VII. We got some gameplay. We got a trailer, a long trailer. And while I've never played the original Final Fantasy VII, the only 2 Final Fantasy games I've played through completely, I have loved to death. And yes, it's 10 and 15, and a lot of people hated 15, but I loved it. And the combat looks very similar to 15 in a way, but different. I've played little bits and pieces of most of the Final Fantasy games, and it seems to me like the combat's like almost always a little bit different, and I love that about them. But the graphics look amazing, and it's going to be on 3 discs. I'm not really sure like what the episodes are going to be. but I pre-ordered the deluxe edition, which comes with the steelbook, so I'm pretty excited for that. Then we got Dragon Quest Builders 2, which I didn't play the first one, so I don't really like building games unless it's like a real-time strategy game like Civilization or SimCity or something, or Harvest Moon where you're farming. We got a Last Remnant remake, which I always wanted to play that, but I mean it just came out on 360, so I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if was it a remake or a remaster. I don't remember. Um, they're also releasing a Romancing Saga collection, and then we also got Outriders, which I don't remember what that is. And that's all I wrote down for Square Enix. And then lastly, on Tuesday we had Nintendo, which I didn't watch until I think Wednesday maybe. But we got Luigi's Mansion 3. We got some gameplay, which I'm super excited for. Luigi's Mansion, like, I loved the first one on GameCube. I did not play the one on 3DS, but the one on GameCube was one of my favorite GameCube games. Very different. I don't typically like Mario games all that much, but the spin-offs, I do like. And, I mean, Super Mario Sunshine, I guess you could consider a spin-off since it wasn't like the typical Mario and you went around cleaning paint, so I don't know. We got some of Link's Awakening, some of the gameplay and some more cinematics from it, which looks really cool to me. We got No More Heroes 3, which I haven't played any of the others, so I can't really tell you. And then Fire Emblem, which looks really, really cool. I stopped writing. I think I was hungover, so I stopped writing. But anyway, also Animal Crossing, they will not be releasing until next year. It got delayed. But they've added a lot of new features to it, which it just looks really cool to me. So hopefully that'll be good. And then we had an announcement for Banjo-Kazooie being added as a DLC to Super Smash Bros., which is great. I love Banjo-Kazooie. It was the very first game that my parents got me with my 64. Which was my first console. I was 11 years old. It was my birthday, and I left my friends in my room and played that for the rest of the night. And it means a lot to me. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. And ever since Microsoft took over Rare, we've not, I mean, we had Nuts and Bolts, which was not what we wanted at all. Banjo 3 got canceled. But I'm really hoping that maybe we'll get a new Banjo game. Whether it be from Microsoft or if Microsoft allows Nintendo to do it, it'd be really cool. I'd also like, because they allowed Nintendo to do this, I really would love for a new Diddy Kong racing game. But that's, I don't know. I like Diddy Kong Racing. It's one of my favorite racing games of all time. I think it's better than Mario Kart. And I feel like we need another game. But it won't ever happen unless Microsoft allows it on Nintendo. So, at the end, we got a little teaser trailer for Breath of the Wild, the sequel, which looks really cool, and Zelda's alongside Link. It looks for maybe the majority of the game, hopefully. They did not say if she's a playable character or anything, but it looks really good. I'm excited. I need to play through Breath of the Wild. I think this is the first time we've had like a direct sequel to a Zelda game, because they've all been kind of like on their own, honestly. So that's really cool. especially since this was the longest of all of the games too. But that was all of E3, and I'm really excited. Had those 3 games pre-ordered: Star Wars, Cyberpunk, and Final Fantasy VII were the 3 that I pre-ordered after E3. I've also got Link's Awakening pre-ordered and Pokemon Shield, Pokemon Shield I've got pre-ordered. So that's all I've got, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.